Hey there. Welcome to another episode of Career Retrospectives, right here on the Super Review Show. I am joined by my two really good friends, of course, Kyle and Mike. What's going on, guys?
Here we are.
Yo, here
Yes,
we are, ready to do some
here
food.
we are. Yeah, I mean, hey, but yeah, so as the title of this episode of our show suggests, we're going to be talking today about the Foo Fighters' latest release. But here we are. From just a couple weeks ago. Oh no, June 2nd, right? Is that when it came out, right? June 2nd. Am I thinking the right thing?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, like early June it came out. It is their first release since Taylor Hawkins' passing. It's very tragic, sad passing in 2022. It says right there, new album out June 2nd. There we are. June 2nd it came out. So we're only 10 days later on it, but we had to take care of a couple things first. But here we are. Here we are. So this album it's going to work a little bit different tonight for all of us here. I'm going to be going first, giving my initial impressions and track breakdown, and then we'll go from there. And Kyle and Mike will go from there. So, but yeah. So first things first. I'm a big fan of the Foo Fighters. I've always enjoyed them. I've always enjoyed to me, they're a band that I was telling Mike this before we came on live. To me, they're a band that has probably out of their whole discography, two really just solid, great albums, maybe three, arguably. But the rest you can pluck at least one to two, maybe even three or four songs off of each record and compile them into a playlist or a greatest hits, and you have a really solid greatest hits or collective efforts. I know for a while ago, actually, when Taylor Hawkins died, Kyle and I actually plugged for our other episode we did. We talked about their album "There's Nothing Left to Lose" from, was it 99?
Their best album. Yeah. Yep.
Their
best record.
That's a hot take right there. Exactly. But yeah, so I mean, going and I did see them live. I saw them reopen Madison Square Garden with Taylor Hawkins and whatnot too. That was an incredible night. Never forget it. But yeah, so coming into this new era of the band, this new style, this new take and everything and whatnot with their new drummer. But here we are. I was like, man, what are they gonna do? Given that Taylor's dead, obviously they're not gonna end. They're one of the biggest bands, touring at the moment too. They were just at Boston Calling. They got a couple of solo dates coming up as well. All this stuff, and this record to me, coming off of the heels of Medicine at Midnight, which was their last record with Taylor Hawkins on drums, which was, I would say, a good record. It wasn't anything special. I mean, I liked it a lot when it came out. I was really excited because I had just seen them live for the first time ever and whatnot with Taylor Hawkins and all that stuff. So I was kind of like a Foo Fighters like phase or a mood swing, if you will, with the Foo Fighters. And that record, had a couple good songs on here and there, but it didn't really have a long lasting as much as I thought it would. So coming into this, I was like, all right. I'm ready for their new record. I just streamed it again for like the second or third time before we did our show tonight. And I have to say, this is a very emotional record. I guess you could say, because to me, it has some emotion to it. As I said, it has their new drummer, of course, on it. And he's,
it does not actually.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, Dave plays the drums on all of it.
Yeah. Dave Grohl is,
I actually didn't realize that until now. Thank you for correcting me. Because how could we forget Dave Grohl was the drummer in Nirvana? How could we forget?
And played everything on the first Foo Fighters record.
Yeah, no, I knew that. I didn't realize that about this record. Oh my goodness.
Yep, their new drummer as of right now is only the touring drummer.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, I'm glad they have one because you knew they weren't going to end the Foo Fighters at all, really. I mean, I after Taylor Hawkins passing, I was like, man, how are they going to do this? It was a very sad loss, but they found a way to go on, and I guess they're probably going to move forward this way, I guess, as far as touring goes. But that's my thoughts going into this record, my impressions and whatnot. Let me jump over to the track listing for a second of songs that this is my standout tracks for me. Let me just read them off to all of you guys. So we have Rescued, Under You, Hearing Voices, the title track, But Here We Are, The Glass, Nothing at All, Show Me How, Beyond Me, The Teacher, and Rest to close out the record. A 48-minute record. And one thing again, I was talking about Mike. I was talking to Mike about this before we went on. They're known for putting out like a 9-song album or a 10-song album, and I don't mind that. I mean, albums can be whatever length they want to be, but I think that I think Dave wants to keep everything, I guess, simple and not overdo anything too much. That's to my understanding about how he operates as a drummer or a lead singer and whatnot, as a musician in general. So, but my standout tracks for me are would be probably Rescued and Under You, mainly because those are the first 2 singles that got released, because those are the first sounds we heard of the new era of the Foo Fighters. So they stood out to me. This might surprise Kyle and Mike. This title track is good. It doesn't stand out to me as much as I thought it was going to.
Yes. Woo!
I am so proud because that was one of my least favorites from the record.
There we go.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. I mean, I was because anyone who's listened to us for any period of time, I am a title track sucker. I love me a good title track, but this one was good. It was okay. It was not great. I was not like taken back, like, oh my God, I heard, but here we are, you know.
When I heard it, I said to myself, if JT says this is his favorite one, he's a liar. Exactly. But here we are. It was a good track. It wasn't my favorite. Yes, it was the title track, but it was not my favorite. The Glass. I finished reading off The Glass. Nothing. I'll show me how. But yeah, my figure I got distracted there. My standout tracks were probably the first 2 songs that got released, Rescued and Under You, the singles. And as I was saying, the title track, but here we are. It's good, but it's not great. I yawned like twice during it, believe it or not, if you guys can believe that. But I was, and then after that, the record kind of goes like not hit or miss necessarily, but just it takes unique turns, I guess you could say. The one thing that I just want to point out to you, and this is just for me personally, the song is called The Teacher, and it's 10 minutes and 4 seconds long. The fact of Dave Grohl creating a 10-minute song that really doesn't, it had some unique turns, but it didn't really do anything for me personally. That is like, I'm not opposed to long songs. I love long songs. I mean, Kyle's going to test for like 2112 by Rush. I mean, of course, we all love long songs. But this one was like a lot. I was very tired during it too. And I was like, oh, when is this going to like, is this done yet? Like, I was having some questionable thoughts. And then ending on Rest, I thought was like a good ending, if you will. But I will say this too, though. But yeah, my as I said from the get-go, like, this is a band where you can pluck at least 1 to 2, maybe 3 or 4 songs off of any one of the records, compile a Foo Fighters greatest hits or playlists on Spotify, and have an incredible playlist of really, really solid songs. But to me, the 2, and you're gonna think I'm crazy, but the 2 that stood out to me the most were just the first 2 and the title track a little bit. But that's really all I got. For me personally, but that's kind of where I'm at with the track listing as well. So Rescued and Under You just kind of stood out to me because mainly because they're the singles that got released, like I said. But other than that, nothing really stood out to me or jumped out at me as much as I thought they would. But that's just me. So but yeah. And we're giving ratings too, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So yeah. All right. So so listen, Foo Fighters are a band that I really enjoy. I mean, there's not a diss to Dave Grohl. It's not a diss to any of them. I just think that like the Foo Fighters to me are a band that are going to try and last as long as they humanly possibly can. But as an attempt post Taylor Hawkins' death, post his, post his passing, of course, his very sad passing, I thought this was a good record. I would not call it, say, like, their best. I would say it's very good. I would not say it's their best, though. I think that there's some unique turns and twists in here. I applaud the production on it. Actually, like, I don't even know if Dave actually was it. I'm not sure the producer.
Yeah, he did production on it.
He did production on it.
I don't know if he was the main producer, but he did a lot of the production.
Okay, that's good because I wasn't. Yeah. Oh, Greg Kirsten. He's the guy who worked on Medicine at Midnight and what was the other album? Concrete and Gold. He's been their producer for a couple of records.
That explains a lot.
Yeah. I'm sure when we get to you, you'll explain that. But yeah, overall, a good record.
Nothing super special. But I did enjoy it for what it was worth. I mean, it was, would I go back to the whole album? Probably not. Would I go back to the 2 or 3, maybe 3 or 4 singles that got released? Yeah, I probably would. I think those are the strongest songs on there personally, but that's just me. I'm currently sitting at if we're going out of 5, I'm going to say like a 2.5 out of 5 or a 3. Probably I'm leaning towards more like a 3 because like comfortably. Out of 10 though, I will say this, I'm going to say probably like a 7, maybe like a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10 sitting out for me personally right now. That's where I'm at as far as like the Foo Fighters, but here we are record goes. I mean, it's good, but I don't. Would I go back to it in like 4 or 5 years? Maybe not. We'll have to see, of course, as time goes on. But that's where I'm sitting at right there. So 6.5 or a 7 out of 10 for me on. But here we are for the Foo Fighters. Let's go to Kyle. So obviously we did like a totally different thing tonight, where I go first and Kyle's go. But yeah, but Kyle, what do you got for this record?
This is one of the few instances where I am in large agreement with JT as to his first points. Like I said about them, Foo Fighters are a band that their hits are really, really good. A lot of their albums, though, have those hits, and that's about all to take away from them. They only have about 2 albums that I go back to as a full album. Like I said, There's Nothing Left to Lose is my number 1 from them by far as a record. It is absolutely solid, start to finish, fantastic. Where I differ from JT is on this album, actually. I'll start this by saying I don't think it's a great album. I think it's very solid. I think this is very good. As a whole album, it actually works very well, minus a couple songs I'll get into. But coming out of, Taylor's death, I didn't expect a record this soon. I never thought that they were going anywhere. I figured they're going to take a break naturally. I didn't think they'd be back this soon. But I love what they did here. I think it's some of Dave's most personal lyrics he's done. Not only dealing with Taylor's death, but also his mother, who died relatively close to Taylor as well. So, a lot of grief on this record, and it comes through on pretty much every track.
Yeah. And if you think actually, the way I deal with when I'm going through things is writing. And I can see the way he's going through things is music. For someone like him to not do music about something he's dealing with, it's almost like it will be the opposite of like how he would be able to process what happened. By not doing anything would probably be more destructive or damaging to his like understanding of what just happened. So like I think it was not like forced, but like required for him to be able to say, how am I dealing with this? So I think that's it's interesting that they jumped into this more so as like a way of saying goodbye than to say I'm just gonna be silent about it, and that would be worse probably.
Yeah, I think it'd be really weird if they were to come back years from now, like take multiple years off and come back with a record with just nothing about it on there. So I think it's very fitting for them to come back with this. So let's go into the track list. But before that, I mentioned the production before. One of my biggest problems with this record, if not the biggest issue that drags it down, is the production. Maybe it's just me, because I haven't seen many others discuss this online. It has such a staticky, fuzzy production to it on a lot of parts that just really drives me nuts. I've also taken issue with a lot of the production on was that one record, not the last one, Concrete Highways that's Sonic Highways. Concrete
and Gold. Yep.
Had similar issues with that on production sides. Medicine at Midnight was Medicine at Midnight. It was all right. It wasn't terrible. Yeah. But this one, there were some great songs that I'm listening to. I'm like, this could be really good if it didn't sound so staticky. So like Rescued, good solid track. Production has that weird staticky thing to it on the drums and the guitar that kind of really bothers me. But I do really enjoy the song. It's an 8 out of 10. It's nothing like too special. I wouldn't put it up there with like the Foo Fighters' greatest hits or anything. But it's a really solid song, really good opener, really sets the stage for what's to come on the album, both thematically and sonically. Then you get to Under You, which is top tier Foo Fighters track, straight 10 out of 10, catchiest chorus of the album. And what I like about it is it's a sad song, but it's also hopeful in a way. And I really enjoy that. It's, about grief and losing someone, but about like, one day you'll kind of be able to live your life without like that shadow of losing that person looming over you. So I really appreciate that. It's really great. And I feel like here's where they had the perfect balance of being able to merge that classic like Foo Fighters sound with more dark lyrics, which you don't usually see from them.
Mm.
And then we take a bit of a quality dive, in my opinion, to Hearing Voices. It's a 7 out of 10. I do enjoy it. The guitars in the verses are kind of like atmospheric. Not my favorite thing. The chorus, pretty good. Transitions need a little bit of work here and there. It kind of feels like at times it's a different song smashed into one. Like the verse has its own sound, then like the pre-chorus comes on, then the chorus, and it just goes back to the verse. None of it sounds incredibly cohesive, but it has good aspects. I do enjoy it. I do go back and listen to it. 7 out of 10. And then my second least favorite song on the album, JT. But here we are. I understand why this is the name of the album. The way I see it more is not them naming the album after this song, but the title is very fitting to where they are at as a band. It did grow on me a bit. At first, I didn't like it at all. With repeated listens, it is a good song. It's just one I wouldn't really go back to. It's a 6 out of 10. The chorus is decent. It has similar problems like I have to Hearing Voices, where it sounds kind of jumbled, like it's a few songs kind of thrown in together, thrown into a blender. Pre-chorus on this, or like first part of the chorus, really weak. The main part of the chorus, not bad. But then we get to the best song on the record, The Glass. 10 out of 10. Absolutely beautiful song. Best song hands down. Lyrics are absolutely gut-wrenching in the best way. Dave's vocal performance on here, immaculate, best on the record. Just the lyrics about being separated from that person like through the glass, being on one side and while the other person's on the other and you can't get to each other. It's great. Very relatable song, beautifully done. 10 out of 10. One of their best tracks of all time, in my opinion. Then you get to Nothing at All. 9 out of 10. Really great song. There's a couple things that kind of hold it back a bit. Has a really cool groove on the verses. Really thunderous chorus going on. But it speaks to the state of the band, I think, with the whole everything or nothing at all part of the chorus, which is essentially the entire chorus. But I think it gets a little repetitive. It's the only thing that stops it from hitting that 10 mark is the chorus is essentially legitimately just everything or nothing at all repeated. Wish it did a little bit more, but I like it. I think it speaks to the state of the band. Like I said, it's kind of here they are now. Like if we're gonna do this post Taylor, we're gonna give it everything we got. Show Me How. Slight dip in quality, nothing crazy. This one though has, and this is something that I got from a lot of the album, which I think is why I like it so much, which shocks me that I don't like this one more, is that it has that massive "There's Nothing Left to Lose" vibe to it. It has very much a similar sound. I don't think it hits the same highs as that record did, but the two vocal harmonies in it go together well. It kind of feels like a conversation between two people at times. It's very well done. But there are things that I feel like it could have done a bit better. 8 out of 10. Then we get to my third standout track. There were 3 10s on this album. This is the third and final one. Beyond Me. Thought this was, again, very similar to The Glass. Stands beside that song as lyrically and vocally the best track on here. It's incredibly poetic, very well done. This is what I was kind of hoping for on this record. And I feel like those 3 songs that were standouts to me, Under You, The Glass, and Beyond Me, really gave that to me, where it had that emotional impact while also being just really solid, well-written, great tracks. Then we get to the 2 last songs. I will say The Teacher did grow on me. I don't think it feels like it's as long as it is. It is a very long song for the Foo Fighters, but I think they did it relatively well. When I was listening to it, at no point was I like, oh, this is still going. There's enough change ups in it to keep it interesting. I do think that it could have been cut down a bit at times. The static ending is absolutely brutal, though. Really bad idea. But outside of that, I really like how it ends with like the goodbyes, all that. 7 out of 10. It's something I actually would go back and listen to. That one grew on me more than any other track on the record. Went from being like a 4 all the way up to a 7, which is pretty rare to do. The one that did not grow on me, and by far the worst song on the album, is Rest. I'm very conflicted on this song too, because I'm not sure how I feel about it being the album closer, because I can see why it is. But I think that the teacher may have actually been a better ending with the whole goodbyes part at the ending. And even having that static ending may have worked if you just ended it on this big wall of static and that was it. But this track, the lyrics are very heartbreaking. I just wish I liked the chorus at all. The chorus is boring as hell. Even when it hits that point where the instruments all come in and does have like a bombastic sound to it, it's still boring. And unfortunately, the production, when all the instruments come in, has that same wall of static that's brought back from the end of the teacher, just behind all the instruments, and it just drives me crazy. It's a 4 out of 10. It's the one misstep, like the one true misstep on the album. So overall, to me, album, it's a light 8 out of 10. It's very good. I liked it more than I anticipated I would. If this is where they're going to go from here on out, it's kind of more of the same, to be honest. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's the Foo Fighters. It's what you would want from a Foo Fighters album. And I think that it's a step in the right direction after, let's be honest, I don't think their last 3 records before this were all that great. Sonic Highways was a cool idea, not the best executed. Concrete and Gold, song wise, not the strongest. Medicine at Midnight was also extremely hit or miss. Some of the worst songs I've ever done, mixed with some solid tracks. So I think this is a real step in the right direction. It brought me back to the sound of There's Nothing Left to Lose at points, and I think that's great. Would love to see more of that.
Cool. And Mike, what do you got?
Hello out there listening. So interesting to pick up a Foo Fighters album and listen to it in full, like it's like I was telling JT earlier. I really have only minimal experience in the entire Foo Fighters album. Listen, like some of the older albums I've listened to, but like just hearing a more modern take, but with some interesting mixes from the old school feel. It definitely presented a conflicted feeling of like, what direction is this band headed in, or are they kind of just revisiting old sounds with some new sounds and blending them and not really selling out to kind of like the idea that they have to completely go back to their roots every time they do an album. So just kind of coming, that's my initial impression, and just kind of go into my pros and cons. My pros is good paced album, delivers a well blend of different styled songs, old school, new school, sounding kind of Foo Fighters. You hear some strumming in there, especially on the teacher one. You hear some of those, almost reminds you of some of the old kind of Foo Fighters sounds that kind of came out of many of their albums. Drumming's fantastic. I mean, like, not to take away from Taylor Hawkins, but I mean, Dave Grohl has always been a fantastic drummer. He could have been the drummer from the get-go, and blown people away, but it was like he wanted to focus on the guitars. And I mean, Taylor Hawkins has done an amazing job himself. So like, not to take away anything, but it's great to hear David Grohl just go right into the many roles that he needs to fill: producer, drummer, vocalist, guitarist, whatever he needs to do, he takes care of it. And it has he does a lot of dynamics with his vocals in this. He's stale in a couple places, and I'll go into that more when I do my tracks. But my cons is too short. I wish there were like at least 3 more tracks, maybe 3 minutes a piece. You could have bumped up this album by 10 minutes or so. I really wanted to hear some more songs, certain songs that I liked. I wanted to hear some similar songs to those, but it kind of got a little experimental on some of the tracks that just weren't what I wanted, but were interesting. So it made for an interesting listen. So yeah, I'll come down the track listening. Rescued, I actually have to disagree from both of you on this. That Rescue was okay for me. It was just kind of like, it has some good energy. It captures some Foo Fighters sounds, but the chorus just kind of it's not the catchy. Hold on.
It did grow on me. I will say that. Oh, we lost Mike. He's a white screen.
Mike is now the album cover itself. So that's okay.
Mike, where'd you go?
Can you see me?
Oh,
Yes.
there he is.
There he is. He's back. We just rescued him
Yeah,
from the stream.
Yeah, you've been rescued, Mike.
Hold on 1 second. I just gotta make.
Nope. He's gone again.
1 second. I'm sorry.
Mike is now being rescued by the Super Review Show co-host and host.
Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry.
We've lost him.
Mike loved this record so much he can't even talk about it.
He's speechless.
My fault.
Starstruck.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, Mike, as I was saying though, I'm kind of wait. Did he drop off completely?
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, he dropped off. Bear with us, everyone.
I think he's under us. Bad jokes. Here we go. No, it's all right.
It might be separated through the glass right now.
I mean, that might be nothing at all. Who knows?
I think we need to get Mike a teacher to help him out with Zoom.
Yeah, right. Hold on. There you go. But yeah, no, I mean,
The old man of the group.
yeah, Mike is a lot older than us, and he's still learning his way.
Yeah, you know how those senior citizens are.
Those senior citizens. What are you gonna do without him? You can do a lot without him too. not trying to sound mean, of course, but hey, so
How dare you be ageist, JT?
I'm not trying to be ageist though. That's the thing. I will say though, I wonder if he's hearing voices.
He might be. At that age, you never know.
Yeah, but here we are.
Maybe he just wanted to get some rest.
Maybe we could. Maybe he can get used to being the teacher.
Hello.
There he is.
All right.
All right.
Sorry.
You were saying something about Rescue being
Yes.
You were saying something about Rescue being a fantastic starter to this album.
Major computer malfunction, folks. I apologize for that. Okay. Anyway.
Well, Mike, you're gonna have to go back and watch this recording. Just watch all the great puns made at your expense.
Boo! You take your puns and pun with them.
Mike, as I was saying real quick, I will say Rescued. I felt the exact same way at first when it first came out as the lead single. I was not into it at all.
Yeah,
and it grew on me over time.
Me too.
Okay, yeah, and it kind of grew on me. It made me feel like a positive feel of like I like the lyrics a lot. I like the fact that it kind of it feels like desperate, like to be rescued, and kind of like I love the feeling it gives on me, but it just doesn't really hit me with like something that was memorable and I was playing in my head. And I think that's ultimately like it continued to have that. So I was 6.5, not too bad, not too great. And then we hit Under You, great song, like monkey wrench feeling to it, almost like that kind of straightforward rocking song, good feeling to it. Doesn't blow your mind by, changing up too much, but it's just plows straight through, so 8 out of 10 for that. It was definitely just what I wanted to hear from like the Foo Fighters that like I could see putting on a playlist. And then we come into my favorite song of the album. Kyle, we're back, baby, we're back. All right,
back again.
We're back to things being in alignment, because I did disagree with a bunch of different things you said on this album. I'll get more into that. But like to the other songs, as well as the production, I felt the production was great. I actually thought the static fit in with certain kinds of sounds. But I do admit, like, I could see how people wouldn't like that. Maybe that's just a me thing and
It's
everyone
just
else
too
thing. But
overdone. I
yeah,
think
it is a
that
little
it's
overdone.
on like the whole record. If it was on a handful of songs, I think it'd be
Yeah.
fine. But it's on almost the whole thing.
Yeah, it definitely, I could see it getting, like, it's something I like and doesn't hit me in the ear wrong, but I could see some people who have a kind of don't lean towards like hearing a certain kind of sound like that, maybe would annoy them. But yeah, 8.5 out of 10. This is a cool vibe to it. I love the bass coming in here. I love the layers of the song, how there's like this just kind of guitar in the background, the bass is kind of sitting on top of the track. The vocals, it kind of it's just one of those songs that just has this, like, the Cure meets, like, I don't know, like Foo Fighters kind of has this like real smooth feeling to it. And then I just love how that ending kind of comes in with a piano. And I really wish I'd hear a version of the song with a piano and unplugged kind of like version of the song. That would be awesome. Drumming, great. I mean, just, yeah, like, love this song. Definitely my favorite on the album. I sent it to my dad and he felt like he agreed he loved that song. So it's kind of like we were on the same page with that. So yeah, like, I was just like, wow, like, hit with Under You, and then bam, like, Hearing Voices. I was like, I was sitting high. And then we come to But Here We Are. This song, I first was like right along with you guys. Like, this was start out as a 6 out of 10. I was kind of about it. Bass sticks out here as well. It's got some interesting time signatures. Almost feels progressive, like, feeling to it. Like, doesn't exact. It kind of feels clunky because of the time signature that it's doing, which I feel like may have aided in how you guys felt about it, possibly. Stellar drumming at the end, with addition to that unique vocals with the, like, they do this kind of, like, I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know if it's like choral or like kind of reminds me of some heavy metal bands that do this kind of group singing, like, no, like Gojira is one of the bands that reminded me of. Ending has some awesome drumming and some cool guitar harmonies. It came up to a 7 out of 10 for me. It wasn't anything fabulous and mind-blowing, but it grew on me. It started out as a 6, but it eventually got to the 7. And then we got The Glass, fantastic song, almost right up there with Hearing Voices. Great lyrics, concept. Completely agree with you, Kyle. Like, and you know what's weird is it has an Ozzy feel to it. Lyrically, like, vocally sounding. Like, I almost like could hear Ozzy singing in this song. Like more of his newer stuff, but like, I could hear that, and they didn't overuse that chorus. I love that chorus. 8 out of 10 for me. A great song, great concept, like Kyle was saying. Definitely makes you feel the sadness and the loss on this, and like that longing to be with someone, like Kyle was saying. It's, yeah. And then Nothing at All, 7.5, similar vibe to Hearing Voices, with that kind of 70s 80s rock feel, like The Police meets The Cure, kind of like Foo Fighters feel. Once again, we return to that kind of style. Little repetitive. I agree with Kyle. Like, the chorus kind of just, I like the heaviness. Probably the heaviest track on the album.
For sure.
Yeah, it's just bashing you in the face with some old school Foo Fighters rock vibes, but it just kind of can't sustain the kind of like need to change up and explore. So, and then we get to my worst track of the album, 100% worst track of the album. And it's funny how Kyle was talking about how he enjoyed certain elements of the song. I completely hated the elements of the song, and it's not for this song being a bad song. It's actually for one of the worst missed opportunities they had of grabbing some of the melodies in this song and singing them. The whole song is done in the same vocal, like
I would agree.
range.
Yeah.
the whole thing. And I actually was sitting there listening to it in my living room, and I was actually singing some harmonies and melodies by myself over top of the song and going, why aren't the vocals doing this? They're just doing this kind of like very kind of like low to mid range, and the girl is a nice addition, but it feels like you want them to do something new and they refuse to. The whole song, it just does not change. And I'm like, I kept saying change, like I want to hear like something else, and it frustrated the hell out of me. So like, I'll be honest with you, you could actually record the vocals on this song and it would probably be in the high 8s, if not approaching a 9, depending on how they did it. It's just those vocals were good, but they needed to change, and they didn't take the opportunity. They didn't take the melody opportunity. They've really missed hitting that note. So yeah, that frustrated me because I hate
it feels
hearing.
more like a conversation though.
Yeah, I do
And
agree
I
with
think
that. And
that's the reason that I couldn't go any higher than an 8 on it, because I loved the vibe of the instrumental on it. It, like I said, it reminded me of There's Nothing Left to Lose days, and I love that vibe. It's very peaceful sounding.
yeah,
But yeah, the vocals, I think the voices go well together and they harmonize well, but you're right, it's very one note throughout.
Yeah, it just didn't change. So I went 5 out of 10 on that. Almost incomplete in the sense that it needs to be redone by somebody. I wish somebody out there would do some magic with like I don't know, auto tune it. I don't know. It'll sound horrible, but it would be interesting to hear someone pick up on some of those melodies that they could have done and really shine through there. And then we go to Beyond Me. I swear to God, if you sing I'm Going Through Changes, Changes by Black Sabbath on this song, when he's just like, I swear to God, you will actually hear this Beyond Me song almost hit some similar notes. And it's really interesting that there's an Ozzy feel on a bunch of these songs, on the one I was talking about before, this one. But the song needed more groove to help it along. But really, it does have a nice kind of, the chorus is kind of cool, and it you really get the feel of like the struggle, the loss here, the inability to control it, to fully grasp the concept of an end. And I really like that, and you definitely feel that. And then we get to like one of my lesser liked tracks on the album, The Teacher. I liked this song. I thought it had some cool it had some cool parts where it really kind of went into this like laid back kind of like atmospheric kind of like, almost like, I wouldn't say Pink Floydian, but I would say like music that kind of seems like you're floating out into the darkness, where like almost Dave Grohl is whispering some of these lyrics with this kind of rasp to his voice, and feeling very kind of like just floating. But it suffers from a little bit of repetition, doesn't necessarily use the parts to present something new to the evolution of the song in 10 minutes. Kind of repeats a lot of the parts, reuses a lot of parts where you're like, I wish you wouldn't have reused these parts. I wish you would have done something new, but you kind of came back, and that's cool. But it just taking 10 minutes and kind of not really being able to like move on from some of those parts and do something different. I really that definitely didn't help it. And then once again, disagree with Kyle here. I love this ending. 8 out of 10. Great end to an album. Really delivers a strong blow of emotion, the bombastic kind of like just, I like the almost whisper of this, the whole kind of like ending. It just seems like really tragic and truly grasps the final theme of the whole album. And it definitely is a one of those quiet down kind of like stripped down, this is the end kind of, you're dead, you're at rest, and and it's like I'm giving away, I'm kind of like offering that back to like it really is, it's just, it definitely fit for me at the end of the album. So yeah, so overall for the rating for me, this was a 7.5 out of 10, and I refuse to let JT redact his 7 to 7.5. You are a 7, sir. So you are the villain.
2 weeks in a row.
You are not allowed. I'm sorry.
2 weeks in a row, baby. Here we go.
No one's allowed to do this. Oh, it's a 7 or 7.5. No, it is what you said first. It is a 7. So, well, sir, you are the villain. Enjoy that, sir.
Well,
yes, I am the villain.
I'm glad that I'm back to having a good score again. I think it's been the first time
Yes.
in like a month and a half that I've given something a good score.
Yeah. And
Right.
my 7 out of 10 is no diss to the record. It's right. It's a very
Sure.
good record. I mean, there's
Yeah.
nothing. Everything that they just said, everything I just said, it doesn't really, it's not. It's something that very probably the. I agree with Kyle 100% on this. It is a very. I would almost say a big step up from Medicine at Midnight completely. Like they were. I mean, it just we've said a lot already, but I would think that's a big. This is a step in a very optimistic direction for the band. I will say that. I think that's a good way of putting it. But yes, I am the villain with a 7 out of 10.
And I'll tell you what, with a couple tweaks, couple different song alterations, and that one song having some different melodies and some vocals and this and that, we really could have came into 8 territory. It definitely some of the songs that I like, Rescued it grows on me. It's not necessarily elevated, but it something that I wouldn't just change off and turn off or whatever. But yeah, there are some possibilities that it could hit that 8 territory. But overall, like I think it just missed the mark a little bit, but still solid, enjoyable record. Great to hear, Dave Grohl still, commanding that kind of like leader of the band and stepping in where he needs to be. And yeah, man, I hope the future is prosperous and full of new music from them.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I really hope that Dave stays the studio drummer.
Yeah,
I agree.
He's a fantastic drummer, like Mike said.
Mhm.
And then if they want to just keep that touring drummer rotating, based on who's available at the time, great. Taylor's son in a few years, he's too young now, but in a few years, maybe he could be the touring drummer.
Yeah, and I was
Carry
a
on
solid
the
drummer
torch.
already.
Yeah.
like their touring drummer could almost be like what's his name, Jason Freese from Green Day, but for the drums.
He's his brother, so yeah.
Oh, never mind. I take that back. I didn't even realize that. Oh my god, I didn't put two and two together there. That's funny. But yeah. Anything else, guys? Are we all set?
No, that's it. We're all set to give our review. No, we're already
exactly. We already gave
We're
our
going to go directly right now into Avenged Sevenfold.
Yes. yes. So for those of you who don't know, next week is going to be Avenged Sevenfold's latest release. We're going to be talking about that next week on our next show. And after that, we're talking about doing a discography, whatever you want to call it, Mike, breakdown.
Discography.
A discography breakdown. I don't know. We're not sure what artist yet, but we're gonna figure that out. But ultimately, guys, we want to thank you all for watching, listening, however you enjoyed us tonight. And by the way, this guy over here, he just I don't know if he's still doing it or not, but no, sorry, he's back that way. Whatever, whichever he is.
Wherever I am in relation to your screen.
You're to my left right now. So this guy has a podcast called Q&A Podcast. Check them out. They do. I don't know if you're done or not, but like
season finale came out this morning. We'll be back in we're just kind of recapping the season, thoughts on everything that happened throughout the season, and we're talk about what to expect next season.
They do
probably
great.
late July, early August. We'll be back.
Yes, gotta love the Q&A podcast right there, baby. Can't beat
that.
with this.
Starting up video podcasts for season 2.
Ooh, even better.
Yeah.
And Mike's still just chipping away doing whatever he does.
Yeah, just doing my noises, bro.
But overall, good record overall. We hope you enjoyed listening to us talk about it. And but for all of us here at the Super Review Show,